This is actually going to be the 5 quick ways that you can grow your sales within your business. So the first one is learning how your business eats, okay? So this might sound a bit weird, but I speak with a lot of founders, and the problem with founders is they want to pay for a lead gen agency, an ad agency, whatever, to strum up the business for them, relying on someone else. But if you learn how your business generate leads, what ads work with your business, what scripts work for cold calling, what's the best outreach strategy. If you learn that yourself, you won't have to pay an agency to feed your business. So you're not relying on them. And that will help you grow your own sales because you'll understand your business more and you'll be able to double down. Once you know what works within your business, what channels work, you can double down on that channel and continue to try different channels. So that's the first way, learn how your business eats. The second thing is so important. I know everyone talks about it. You've got to have a personal brand. You've got to have this, you've got to have that. You don't have to come on video. You just have to have some sort of online presence. So I work with a founder at the moment. He's trying to scale out of his own sales. He's doing okay online, like not huge following, but he's got a decent amount of followers, but not massive numbers. And people still tell me on the sales call, I want to work with X because I like the way they sound online. They've never met him before, but they like his ideas, they like his methodology, they like what he says. So what that does is that allows that founder to not be involved in the sales process, and people are paying just to have access to that founder. And that's all done through his online presence. He wouldn't be able to remove himself from the sales process if he didn't have an online presence, because people wouldn't really know. They would have to speak to him directly to see the value. But by having an online presence, they can see directly what sort of ideas, methodology, what sort of value they could receive from the founder. And what that allows the founder to do is not be involved in the sales process, bring in a closer, bring in a setter, and run the sales process for the business. And that is how you scale. When you can scale yourself out of your own sales because people know you, because they've dealt with you online, they see you online, that's how you really grow your sales in your business. You've got leverage. The third one is pretty simple, but have a 2-step sales process. So the first step is a discovery and the second step is a demo. The reason this is important is, number one, you will close more people onto the second call rather than trying to discovery, demo, close on call 1. The second reason is, which I don't think many people talk about, but when you have a discovery, let's say you're going into a business and you're understanding what the business owner wants to solve, you're understanding what they want to do, you're understanding current revenue numbers, where they want to get to, and you know what your service could do for them in terms of additional revenue, in terms of additional savings in bottom line, instead of additional sales, you can actually put together a custom offer. So when you put together a custom offer, what that does is, if you look at a business and say, I could probably add an extra 100K over the next 12 months, you're not going to go in with your own 3K offer. If you know that you can add 100K, you're going to go with a 10K offer. So what that means is a 2-step discovery call really allows you to put a custom offer in front of the prospect, which you're going to solve all their problems, so they're more likely to buy because you've customized it to them. And you can charge more. And the first stage is just all about them, and they're going to just feel like, wow, he really cares. They really care, because you should care about your prospect. When you're trying to do a discovery and a close on one call within 45 minutes, it doesn't work. And you're going to end up underselling in terms of what budget they had available, and that's really bad. The next one is speed to lead. You have to be as fast as possible. Speed to lead is so important. So let's just walk through this. You get an inquiry or someone says yes to having a meeting with you. You want to have that meeting within 24 hours, max. Same day, next day. That's it, okay? You get an ad, you call them up, listen, you call them up within, as soon as possible, 60 seconds, 5 minutes. Call them up, listen, got an available slot this afternoon. Does that work for you? You want to get them onto the sales call as quickly as possible. I'm just going to show you why. Then on our two-step process, we've had the first call. The second call, we want it the next day. The next day. You can put an offer together. You can put an offer together in a day. We want to get them on that second call within 24, 48 hours max. The reason is all of our decisions, especially in sales, are emotional. And when they've seen something online, when they've resonated with something you've said to them in a DM, their emotions are high. They've decided that they need to take action on a problem. When they have a discovery call with you and you've had a great discovery, you've brought out all the problems, you've brought out all their emotions, they're at a high emotional state. We want to ride that high emotional state because we know, like I said, decisions are emotional. So the more emotion in the sale, the more likely we are to get a decision from them. But the longer we leave it, the more that logic comes into the decision process and the more emotions go. And the less emotion and more logic, the less likely they are to make a decision to change. So be as fast as you possible, contacting your leads if you've had an inbound, getting them on the sales call, getting the next sales call, move that sales process quick if you can. And the next one is you have to master objections, because imagine your market's 100%, 5% are no, 5% are yes. 5% are never going to buy, 5% are always going to buy. This 90% are on the fence, they're a bunch of maybes, especially with all of the options that we have today. So what does that mean? When you learn to turn those maybes into yeses, you get to attack 90% of that market, which are always going to be maybes and probably pushing on to nos. But when you master objection handling, and a good way to master objection handling is always make sure you have some way to deal with them in your offer. So if it's a budget thing, have a way to spread the payments, whatever. If it's a risk thing, have some sort of guarantee. If it's I need to speak to my spouse, let them come in to the program, whatever you sell, for a couple of days. No questions asked. So you can say, listen, I know you need to speak to your spouse. The best way actually is come in, I'll give you access today, and you can really click through and have a look at it from the inside with your spouse. And then you can make a calm decision when it's right for you. I'll give you 2 or 3 days to make that decision. Does that sound fair enough? We always want to have ways for us to deal with the objections that we're going to receive. And you'll get better at dealing with those objections because you know you've got ways to deal with them. If you haven't got any way, if someone can't pay up front for what you've got because it's a high ticket and you don't offer any other plan to spread that payment, of course it's going to be a lot harder. Where if you've looked and said, okay, how can we make this work for our customer and get the sale? So mastering objections is so important to driving more sales within your business. And once you master objections, you can teach other people how to deal with objections. And once you teach your sales team how to deal with objections, there's nothing stopping you. So the 5 are learning how your business eats. You have to put some sort of presence online. You have to have a 2-step sales process. You have to be a speed to lead type of business. You have to be quick, and you have to master objections. You do these 5 things, I guarantee you, you'll drive more sales.